All right, they've got to get him off to the airport. He mentioned, Peter mentioned Kevin McCarthy. You know, these guys, when they're coming through the ranks and coaching, they're doing more than just coaching players. They're helping in every way, shape, or form. Kevin McCarthy was our head coach, and I was doing some group sales work at the time as well, so I had to slide back. It was time to do our coach's interview, which these guys absolutely love when the broadcasters say, okay, we need 5 minutes now on a game day. And I came in and I asked one question to Kevin McCarthy. I couldn't tell you what the question was other than it was god-awful. And then I followed it up with another one that made no sense, and Kevin McCarthy looked at me and he said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "I have no idea. I just had 1,000 people from a church group come in, and now we got to get this done." And he goes, "Get the hell out of my office until you're ready to go." So he was coaching a broadcaster even then, saying, "Be prepared." Booted me right out of the office. But Kevin McCarthy's always been one of my favorite people as a result of that, and just the kind of guy he is, because he would throw comments like the stat that Peter threw at you. He'd throw those out in the middle of an interview and go from there. So I'd always like to fire back with him. I asked him his favorite cartoon character, and of course we learned then that it was Foghorn Leghorn, which was a good thing to know. All right, as we get ready for our next presenter, you know, one of the things that you deal with as coaches is you get to deal, of course, with strategy, and you're going through all the X's and O's, but there's always one thing to keep in mind, and that is that you're coaching people. You can have the greatest strategies in the world, but you got to find a way to get the people to actually buy into it. And it's, as someone that works with coaches, you know, from just a learning standpoint, always asking questions, it's one of the things that you see. Well, this guy needed to do this guy needed to do that. But they never really tell you, well, how do you get that guy who hasn't done that 3 times in a row to do that? And that's, you know, that's the fun part of coaching is figuring out people. So our next guest has dealt with a lot when it comes to the people side of things. 25 years in the coaching business. As a collegiate hockey player, was a Hobey Baker finalist as well. He's back in the American League. Of course, he's a Calder Trophy or Calder Cup winner as a championship in the American Hockey League. But he's back with the Binghamton Senators, and let's bring up Kurt Kleinendorst. Kurt.
Okay, well, Peter, that was outstanding. As a coach, 25 years, you just never get tired of listening to other coaches and their approach. And I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great coaches. My time in New Jersey, Larry Robinson was there, Slava Fetisov, Kevin Constantine came in. I've had the opportunity to work with USA Hockey at the World Championships with John Tortorella and Mike Sullivan, Stanley Cup champion coach. So it's so awesome to get their approach and their ideas on pretty much everything. And what you find out, guys, is it's not rocket science, you know, and Peter touched on it. It's really about you as a coach being true to yourself, right? You can't be somebody else. You got to be who you are and what you are. But again, I loved his first little story about his son. I've got a daughter helping me today, and my story's not quite that funny, and it's definitely not quite that long. But I remember, because as parents, we all have our own different approach, and I would like to talk, if I could too, for just a little bit about parents, because they're such a part of our game today. But my approach with my children was a little bit different. I used to drop them off and tell them to have fun and work your tail off. You know, that's what I would tell them. So I remember Katie when she's a 91, but she must have been about 7 years old, and we were at the Coleraine rink up in northern Minnesota. I'm from Grand Rapids. I'm a Minnesota boy. And I was sitting up there watching, and one thing Katie always did was she always worked hard. She was the third behind 2 brothers. And she was about 7 years old. She came off the ice, full shield on. She was all sweaty. She had snot coming out of her nose. Her mouth was just full of drool. And she looked up at me and she says, "Did I work hard today, Dad?" And I said, "You absolutely did, Katie. You made me proud, you know." And that's my approach. I understand that there are other parents that aren't quite like that. And it's our responsibility, your responsibility, to make sure that you don't take the fun out of the game because of the parents. I'll share a little bit of an experience that I had. as well with USA Hockey, the NTDP. It was in the middle of an opportunity, and Jimmy Johansson called me and asked me if I would be willing to help out in Ann Arbor for a year because Johnny Hines, who's now the coach of the New Jersey Devils, had just taken an opportunity with Pittsburgh in the American League, and he went to Wilkes-Barre. And so I said, absolutely. Sounds like something that I would really enjoy doing. And so I committed to that. And keep in mind that I knew about the program, but I didn't really know the program. And so I got there, and early on, it's all about the parents. You know, orientation weekend, they all come in, and I'm the new guy. Nobody had ever met me. Nobody had ever seen me. They didn't really know much about me other than what they found on Google. And so my first real opportunity on the weekend was to get together with all the parents. And I think you can all feel for me. Those of you that, if you're involved in youth hockey, you can feel for what it is all about. It's the parents. Trust me, the fun for these kids comes through the parents. Okay? And so you got to find a way as a coach to make it work. Okay, here's how I went about it. And so we had our meeting, and I made certain through my PowerPoint that they understood, number one, I was qualified, which I felt like I was, or JJ never would have called me. But secondly, I said, and I know this is the hardest part for you to sell to your parents. I said, listen, I've raised 4 kids. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. I understand exactly what you're feeling today. I know what's going through your mind. I know what your expectations are, and I know what your anxieties are. I said, but I'm going to tell you right now, relax, okay? I'm a big believer in communication, okay? Big believer in communication. I believe in setting the bar on day one. Let them know. Let them know what you're like. Let them know what your expectations are, but let them know that you get it. And when I said I get it, I said, I get it. Here's my promise to you, okay? And I won't say another word about it. Here's my promise to you. I said, you have my word that I'm going to treat your son as though he was mine. I promise you. I promise you. He'll never leave the rink with questions. He may not always get the answer that he wants, but I'm going to make sure that he always knows where he stands. If he needs a kick in the ass, I'm going to give him a kick in the ass, and if he needs a pat on the back, I'm going to give him one of those too, but I guarantee you, I'm going to give him 10 of those for every one of the other. But I get it, okay? Set the bar, they were happy with that, and on we went, and it was a great year. Follow that up with another story. I'm new to the program. Keep in mind, the NTDP, they still all wear these shields. I know nobody. I hardly knew who Scott Monahan was at the time. He was my boss, right? I just got there. I don't really know anybody. I certainly don't know the players. We're on the ice. We have a great first day. This is a true story. Great first day, okay? And I'm out there, and I'm standing, and I told my assistant coach, you stand right here. You stand right here, because I don't know anybody. So we were running the drills, and like, who's that guy? And he's whispering to me, you know, that's John Merrill, and who's that guy? Oh, that's Justin Falk, and who's that guy? That's Jared Tenorti. I'm like, oh, boy, you know, this is a freaking good team. I mean, it's no wonder we won a gold, trust me. Nobody could have screwed that one up. And thankfully, I didn't. But anyway, it was that very day, I swear. Maybe it was the second day, but it was one of the first 2 days. I get this kid that knocks on my door, and he says, Coach, got a minute? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Come on in. My door is always open. I believe in communication, and I want you to know exactly where you stand. He says, Coach, I just want to be honest with you. He says, I'm a pretty insecure player. I always have been, and I just want to make sure that I share that with you. He said, but before I leave here today, could you give me some kind of an idea of how you think I'm doing? And I'm sitting 3 feet from the guy, and I'm looking at him. I don't have a freaking clue who he is. And he's asking me what I think of him as a player. And honestly, I didn't have the heart to tell him. I'm not quite there yet. So I said, you know what? I said, if you just keep doing what you're doing, from what I've seen so far, you know, the efforts that you put in, the attitude, for you even being in here today shows a lot of courage. I said, if you just carry that on and you find a way to get better every single day, if you keep a good attitude every single day, you're going to be just fine. And he said, okay, coach, that's all I needed to hear. And he walked out of my office. It was Jason Zucker, plays for the Minnesota Wild right now. But I made sure the next day I found out who he was, okay? So the last thing, and I want to get on to this presentation too, because I know we fell a little bit behind, but I promise I'm going to bring it in under where we need to be. All right? Thank you. Just the importance of you guys and you gals as coaches. And I want to be careful here because I have so much respect for teachers. I really do. Teachers are wonderful. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm trying to make a point, and I mean this. I couldn't tell you any one of my teachers, grade 1 to 5. Can't remember their names. I can remember faces. I don't know their names. But I can tell you exactly who coached me in Pee Wees. I can, okay? And I can tell you exactly who coached me in Bantams, right? And I can tell you exactly who coached me all the way through high school. And it really matters, you know? It matters, and you guys have so much influence on all these kids, okay? So keep that in mind as you move forward. Communicate to the parents. Make sure you have a plan. Share your plan with the parents. Let them know that you get it, and you'll be just fine. Okay, now, let's move on. What am I about? Well, I loved Peter's. I loved his presentation, okay? And I am a big believer, just like USA Hockey is. I believe in the speed and the skill of our game. When I talked to Mark, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do today or what would have value to the group today. And so, you know, we decided one of the things that had not been touched on and hasn't been touched on much at all in these seminars is tracking, line rushes against, and then transition back to D-zone coverage. We're not going to get into D-zone coverage today because that's something that's a little bit individual. But I will say this, if you wanted to, there's a great video out there from 2 years ago in Las Vegas. Jack Capuano spoke. It's pretty simple. It might have been 7 or 8 minutes, you know, but if you want to get a good grasp for defensive zone coverage in a real simple way, just Google it, and it's all you need. It was really good. He talks about a box and one and the way that he likes to play, and I think you'll appreciate it. So anyway, I love skill. I love skating, and I watched a lot of clips to put this together. Unfortunately, I don't have my Exos, so we had to do it on a PowerPoint with my Apple computer, but what I found was going through all these clips, like literally a lot of clips. There's one team that if you like the message today, and not that there aren't others out there that do this very well, but I would say that it's no secret why Pittsburgh won a championship. I mean, the way they track the puck is phenomenal, okay? So anyway, let's start off, Katie, with our very first clip, and then we'll get into it, okay? It's coming, Katie. There we go.
Come on, quick feet, boys, quick feet, push it! Work hard now, boys. Come on, Strobel, pick up your knees. Keep your shoulders square. Push it. Come on, go! Legs feed the wolf, boys. The legs feed the wolf.
The legs feed the wolf, hey? I use that all the time. And if you really think about it, it's really what our game is today, you know? Like the legs feed the wolf. I take a look, for me the puck is a bone, and it's prey. And I think as coaches, with the way we want to play the game today, wrap your mind around it because the legs feed the wolf. And, you know, it's not so much there. That was more about conditioning. Well, yeah, if you're going to skate and if you're going to play the way Pittsburgh plays, you're going to have to be in shape. But I think it's more than that, okay? It's way more than that. So I've got some clips here that I just want to show you what I'm talking about. I know you all know this, but I just want to kind of start out by showing you what I'm talking about. This is the game today. Like, this is a back check situation. They got caught a little bit deep, Arizona did, but here's a back check. And there's your pause. I love the pause. I think there's a lot of power in pause. But if we carry this on, okay, it's a back check that's turned to offense, but look at immediately, here comes the track. You know, like I tell my guys all the time, every day in practice, every day, you're going to be chasing somebody's ass today or somebody's going to be chasing your ass. And you know what? That's why right there, because that's the way the game is played today, right there. The time, the days of having time and room, like back in the day when Gretzky played, I mean, he'd still be a great player today. He wouldn't have the time that he used to have. This is the way we play our game today, right there, okay? Next clip. Right there, track it, force the dump. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the puck off their stick, okay? And some of these clips are dumped pucks, but we're going to create turnovers too. But there's your pause right there. There's a track. You got your back checker with your tracker. But the guy that did the end, and watch here. It goes in, 15, gets the puck, and now he was the tracker. He just got his ass tracked. That's the game. He was the one that came across, tracked the puck, angled the puck carrier, forced him to dump it in, and then he goes in, does a low and slow. They break it out. Now he gets the puck, and now he gets his ass tracked, okay? This is the game today. And again, I'm going to get into the reward in a minute because there is a lot of reward to playing this way, and you're going to see it, but these are just some introductory clips right here. Same thing, we come in, one of my boys right here, Brian Rust, 17, gets it, shot, he comes high. Again, this is what's so awesome because Peter's presentation, a lot of it was predicated on the high guy, and here he comes, okay? The high guy, and we'll get into this a little bit more, you're there for offense, but you're also going to be there as a first layer and a first attack for our defense. And that's kind of what we see right there, okay? Last one. And here we come. Pittsburgh's just recovering back, puck pressure, and they're always playing off one another, and if they're nothing else, they're just tenacious on the puck. I played a couple more clicks, Katie, right there. See what I mean? Like always, somebody with an angle, with their feet moving in your face, okay? All right, by definition, this is what track is, pretty simple. Follow, pursue the track, traces, footprints, and I absolutely love to use the wolf analogy, okay? The legs feed the wolf. We're going to be all over this thing, and we're just going to be pressure, 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 pressure. What makes for a successful track, okay? Well, a disciplined F3 is probably the one thing that you really need to wrap your mind around. Doesn't matter what age group you're working with, okay? Be above the puck. You want a high guy. What does a high guy mean? Where should a high guy be? That's up to you as a coach. Peter likes his to be just a little bit higher. I don't mind mine being just a little bit lower, right? It doesn't really matter, but you have to, as a coach, get your players to understand what is it exactly? What is it exactly a high guy? What's a disciplined F3 mean to you? Push that onto your players, okay? Tracker, for me, if we're tracking right, okay, there's going to be an initial turn and skate, powerful 3-4 strides right off the hop because you're in an offensive situation and all of a sudden the puck is turned over. So obviously, if you're facing their goalie at some point, you're going to have to turn and go the other way. But what I don't like is I don't like my forward skating backwards. Hate it. I don't ever let my forward skate backwards because they're terrible at it. Maybe I should help them be better at it, which I do, but they're still not very good at it. So I don't want my forwards skating backwards. They're just a glorified cone. So I get them quickly to turn, I get them to pause, and then I get them to attack. Turn, pause, attack. But there's not much of a pause before their attack, okay? And that understanding the concept and responsibility, you're going to hear it time and time and time and time and time and time again from me, because for me, today you are my students, today you are my players, and I really believe that when it comes to teaching, I always say repetition is the mother of all skill, okay? Repetition is the mother of all skill. And as coaches, sometimes you make the mistake of letting them do it once, letting them do it twice, telling them once, telling them twice, and then you move on to something else. Well, do you think you can really perfect it? Remember when you were a kid trying to figure out your times tables? Your mom didn't just show you three times 3 one time. I mean, you got to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Repetition is the mother of all skill. When it comes to coaching, same thing applies, okay? You know yourself, you know your group. It's up to you to make sure that it gets to the point where they're like, really? Really? You can tell me that again? Yeah, I am going to tell you again because I believe I have to keep telling you, all right? Back checker, okay, for me, 2 defensemen with a tracker and a back checker, okay? They're different. The tracker is not the back checker, and the back checker is not the tracker. Tracker tracks the puck, back checker recovers through the middle, and then your last remaining forward back, he's just got to make sure the fifth guy doesn't beat him up ice, okay? So tracker's track, back checker's back check. D, sit there and just take it all in, because in this particular situation, in this system, the forwards are going to do 95, maybe more % of the work, okay? So back checker's going to work hard. He has to also understand the concept and his responsibilities, just like everybody, okay? He's going to recover through the middle. When I talk about neutral zone awareness, again, I get it. Some of you are squirt coaches. Doesn't matter. You can still be a student of the game. Take whatever you can take out of this. Use whatever you can use, but I would love nothing more than for you guys to sit down come October, November, December, and start watching some NHL hockey and say, oh yeah, there it is. Look at that guy track. Look at that back checker come through the middle. Look at that D pull to the dots. You know, it doesn't matter what level you are. Be a student of the game. I know you are. I know that's why you're here, okay? I say 5 guys and a goalie. What does that mean, 5 guys and a goalie? Well, it just means that for me as a coach, when I've got 5 guys and a goalie sitting together, I know they got it. Like, example, 5 guys doing exactly what I need them to do, and a goalie standing in his crease saying, holy shit, are we playing good tonight? That's 5 guys and a goalie. And it doesn't come easily, okay? It doesn't come easily, not at all. I mean, sometimes I don't get this 5 guys and a goalie until February. Seriously, it takes that much time. It's not just going to happen. This tracking thing isn't going to fall into place tomorrow. It's going to take some time if you choose to do it. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I'm telling you, you're going to have the puck more. And if you have the puck more, you're going to enjoy the game more. And if you enjoy the game more, you're probably going to score more goals too. Line rush against, for me, that's going to become an LRA as we move forward. I've got some clips of that. Be prepared for the reward. What's the reward? The reward's a puck. We're going to get that puck back. Okay, we gave it up. Now we're tracking that guy's ass. We got a back checker coming back through the middle. We got a 5th guy coming back hard. And we're doing it all together so we can get the puck back and turn and burn and go the other way, okay? Peter talked about Kevin using a stupid statistic of 80-some%. I do the same exact thing. And you know why I do it? Because I know none of my players are going to take the time to figure it out. I swear, that's true. So I use this number over. I say over 50% of all goals scored come from the neutral zone. I bet I'm right. I bet it might even be more than that, okay? 5 on 5. I bet it's even higher than that. The neutral zone for me is sacred, okay? So Peter showed it. When we've got the puck, I don't ever tell I don't want you to dump it. I don't want you to dump the puck. We got the puck. We worked hard to get the puck. Let's keep the puck. But will there be times we need to dump the puck? Of course. And when we do, we'll have a forechecking strategy to go get it back. So we don't have to end up, I mean, if you knew how many times I've shown my team clips where we keep ending up back in our end, right? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, what's wrong here, right? So you show them, you dump it in, they break it out, they come down through the neutral zone and they get in, and you show them like 5 clips. And you're like, what's wrong here? Like, why are we spending so much time in our end? They generally don't get it until I tell them. You know what the problem is? Our forechecks sucked. Seriously. We weren't all together. So if you got a plan put your plan in place, and it's very rewarding, and you're going to score more goals and win more games. And for me, that's a little bit about the reward, okay? We're going to talk about transitioning to D-zone coverage. I've got a couple clips to show you what I'm talking about, but that's just coming back, transitioning into D-zone coverage. Like I said, I'm not getting into D-zone coverage today because we want our guys playing with the puck more. We're not going to get into that, and you can look at Jack Capuano's stuff. Okay, and the other thing is, not always, but most of the time, the tracker, if you think about it logically, not always, because sometimes he may finish his check, in which case the back checker might beat him back up ice and be the first forward back into our end. Okay, so it's not always that the F3 is going to be the first guy back, but generally speaking, yes. And then the last little thing that we won't get into is the D-zone coverage. How to teach tracking. I kind of touched on some of this stuff already. Introduce your vision, okay, to your team. Communicate. And let your players know it's hard work, but it's because it is hard work. We're going to skate, you know, like we are going to skate. We're going to have to skate if we're going to make this work. But it's rewarding because you're going to get the puck more. But you have to start, and there's different ways to teach. I teach, like I said, through communication. I always start with communication, and then I always back it up with video. And you know, I think the times have changed now. Again, I'm not going to get into squirt coaches showing your players clips, but you might show them a tracking clip. Absolutely. Why not? You know, as long as you've got your skill set in place with the squirts, there's no reason you can't show those little buggers, you know, why you want them to skate like this. Like, that's just tracking the puck. Now, here's the thing, little guy. I'm not talking about all three of you. See, that's what Peter talked about too. I'm not talking about all three of you going to the puck. I'm saying whoever's the first guy, go. And then I'm saying whoever the second guy is, you're smart enough to get this. You're going to be our back checker. You're going to come back through the middle, you know. And I don't give a crap what the other guy does. Do whatever you want to do. I don't really care, you know. And so there's your vision to your little squirts. So if you can give your squirts the vision, you can certainly give it to the peewees, and then you can give it to the bantams, okay? Again, my peewee coach, Ted Brill, okay, and the assistant coach, Robin Leonard, they would be thrilled, okay? So you can show them your vision at the level that you're coaching, okay? As a bantam and a midget, it's going to be a little more sophisticated for sure. But you can show them your vision, okay? Now, where are we at here? Drills, okay? Oh, depending on age group and resources, back up your vision with video. That's where I'm at, when possible. I show my video before practice. Like, again, you can do this. I heard somebody talking about, because you're the coach. You can do whatever you want to do, right? You can do whatever you want to do. You have the meeting with the parents, and you say, listen, it's important to us as a group that your kid is there. And I know this is going to be hard for some of you, but we got to make it work. And if you got a carpool or whatever, we can do this. We can do this. But I want them there an hour before, because maybe you want them there 40. I don't care what you want, but you have to communicate to them what your expectations are. Figure it out. Do I want an hour before practice to work with my group? Do I want a half an hour? I mean, think about what's a half an hour? Nothing. But just by getting them together and having them do something together as a group is beneficial. I don't know what you want them to do. Send them out in the parking lot and have these little guys do a stretch. Who cares? You're teaching them what it takes to be committed. But I do understand the parents will be an issue, but you got to find a way to conquer that, okay? So what I do, my guys have to be at the rink an hour before. Most of them are there plenty earlier than that, okay? And they got to be ready to rock and roll, okay? All I know is practice is at 10:30. They got to be there at 9:30 ready to rock and roll. And whatever rock and rolling is for me on that day, that's what we're going to do, okay? Might be the weight room. It might be going out in the parking lot and doing something dynamic. It might be going into the room and doing a little bit of video. I love to show video in little bits and bobs because I know that everybody's attention span is crap today. Like, how many guys in here have fallen asleep already? Okay? I'm sure there's a few nodding off. There's a few on their phone, whatever. But I'm sure we've lost a few already. And if I can't keep your attention, how in the hell do you think you're going to keep your team's attention, you know, for long periods of time? You're not. and I don't try. I've given up on that. I'm a 15, 20-minute guy. Boom, get out of here. Now we're going to go out and we're going to work on it. It works. I show them how I want to forecheck. I show them their clips, but I also show them clips from NHL teams. And the reason I do that is because I know that's where they all want to get to. They all dream to be in the NHL. So if they're doing it in the NHL, and this is what it takes to get there, and this is how they're doing it, yeah, it works for me, and it works for them. So that's just something that I like to do. Integrate small games. Like I put some simple little angling drills in your booklets. And you know what, believe it or not, I still use some of those today. They don't have to be complicated. It's about teaching, for example, tracking is also angling. It's angling the puck carrier with your feet, moving and trying to skate through their hands. Simple. So you want to emulate that in your practice. Small games, what would I do for a small game? Well, I might put everybody across the blue line and go cross ice, and I would have a blue group over here and my whites over here, and every other time I might start with the blue and have them swing the net with a puck. Swing the net in a small game, 3-on-3. I'd have the first guy coming off the white line's got to go meet him at the post and angle him to the corner, game on from there. You know what I'm saying? So I would find a way to implement all these little things that are important or something that you were working on that day in practice in your small games, but don't give up on the habits and the fundamentals. They're very, very important. Repetition is the mother of all skill. Okay? Practice doesn't make perfect. Absolutely not. Perfect practice makes perfect. You don't want them doing it wrong. You want them doing it right. And John Van Beesbrook this morning, whom I told my daughter, she didn't get out of bed early enough. I watched it. And I said, that was really good. I enjoyed that. I learned something from that. I'm sure you did too. She said, is he that old goalie? Is he that old goalie? Well, yeah, he's kind of old. John was a teammate of mine in Tulsa years and years ago, but that was a good presentation. But anyway, what I learned from him is tell him, you know, tell them what you want them to do, and they'll do it. You don't have to know how to do it. You have to know up here what you want them to do. You don't have to show them. If you're intimidated of showing them, show them on video. Tell them what to do, but I bet at a slow pace, because I still do it, you can get them to do it. You can show them how to do it. Okay, but integrate drills in practice to emulate, like Peter said, game situations. Okay, my guys love small games. When my practices go to crap, you know the first thing I do? I go to small game. I do. Picks them right up. I don't do it to screw around. I do it and I tell them why we're doing it, and then we do it. But it immediately gets their attention. They get excited. They start smiling, and then it's game on again, you know? And then we get back into our practice. It really does work. Positive reinforcement. Positive, guys, positive. It's so easy in our world today to be negative, and video especially, okay? Larry Robinson would say that all the time. Oh, you got to be careful with video because it can be so negative, so negative. You got to make it positive, okay? You can find great teaching clips and make them positive. Even when they're doing shit wrong, you can make it positive because you're not looking to throw anybody under the bus. You're looking to help make them better. And you got to be real careful. Like I just went through an interview process with Ottawa. Second time. Love it. Great organization. So happy to be going back there. And that was one of the things that came up. And I've changed my approach on this. I have. I don't ever throw a player under the bus in front of his peers. I won't do it anymore. I might get pissed, and I'll go in, and I might be pissed. I might be pissed at you. I might be just freaking livid at something you did, right? And I'll freaking go in there, and I'll go off, but I'm not going to mention you by name. And I'm not going to be so specific that I'll get in trouble for doing it. But my point and my message will be out there. And then you're coming in my office, and we'll do a face-to-face. We'll shut the door, and I'll tell you my problems with you. You know, I think that's the way you do it today. I don't think you go at guys in front of the group. I think you have to be careful. Players have changed, okay? They've all changed. They want to get better, but they don't want to be the one that gets thrown under the bus. So I would be a little careful there. But again, you're you, I'm me. You do whatever you want to do. You do what you think is best, but they are somebody's son or daughter. You need to be careful, okay? Handle them the way you would handle your son or your daughter, okay? Positive, okay? And let them see that you see their efforts. Doesn't matter. I love it to this day. I'm 55. And when somebody says, I like that drill, that was a great move, whatever, I still feel good about it, you know? I still feel really good about it, you know? And so can you imagine being younger and feeling good about something? So again, it does matter, okay? Continue to reinforce your convictions for tracking and the benefits of conviction. Let them know we're doing it, let's do it. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And if we do it right, there's going to be a reward. Constant reminders, quickly. I had an issue with a couple players at the NDDP, and I had to meet with the principal. We met with the players. We had everybody there, the parents, and afterwards he pulled me aside and he says, Kurt, come here. He says, you know, a lot of good things going on there, a lot of good things. I like a lot about what you're doing. He says, I've been a principal for years. He was just getting ready to be shipped off to Afghanistan, okay? Afghanistan, and just the greatest guy. And he says, I'll just give you one piece of advice, okay? And he said, I guarantee you this is going to help you become a better coach. He says, you can't just remind your players anymore. And I'm like, what? I think reminding is good. He says, no, you can't just remind them what you want them to do anymore. You can't just remind them what they should be doing. You have to constantly remind them. And he's right. So it gets to the point where I constantly remind my players what their responsibilities are, to the point of being a little monotonous, but not to the point where they're ready to check out. A little bit of a fine line there. And then be patient and stick with it, okay? If you believe in it, make it work. If it's not working, figure out why it's not working. Why are we spending so much time in our end tonight, guys? It's because our forecheck sucks, okay? They never in a million years would have thought that, but that's the answer. So, if you like what I'm talking about, and I'm not the only one, Pittsburgh won it. They were by far the best tracking team in the NHL. And if you don't think this is where the game is going, think again. Does anybody in here know who Tony Robbins is? He's a motivational speaker. Years and years ago, when I was a young coach, I'm not a young coach anymore, I bought this whole set of Tony Robbins shit. I'm driving from Utah to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm listening to this stuff, you know, back when it was cassette or it might have been CD even still. I don't know. Maybe it was cassette. But anyway, very first cassette, he talks about, he's got this, he's actually me. He's got this whole group of guys. And I'm going to tell you the single most important to success. And everybody just sits there and they're staring at him. And he said it again. I'm going to tell you right now the single most important thing for your success. Just like everybody in here, you're all just staring at me. They were all just staring at me. And then he goes, okay, would you get your pencils out? Because I'm going to tell you the single most important thing to success. Okay? It was attitude. Okay? I'm not talking about attitude, although I am. Your attitude, the player's attitude, attitudes matter. That's not my point. My point is, this is where the game is going. I'm telling you, when you see some of the clips, they're not great, but they're pretty damn good. You'll see my point. This is where the game is going. Pittsburgh, the way they skate, the way they track the puck, the way they're relentless on the puck, the way they back check the middle, the way their D pulls to the dots, the way they turn it up and go the other way right away. There's no secrets to why they're the Stanley Cup champions. This was a big part of it. Okay, Murray was pretty good between the pipes, yeah. And they did a lot of other things well. They got Crosby and Malkin and Letang. They got some pretty damn good players, but so does every other team. This was a huge part of their success, okay? Where does tracking begin? I gave you the answer, okay? It's in the offensive zone, specifically the high forward. That's important. Why is it important? Because it should fit into everything that you're already teaching your players, okay? Is that a lot of what Peter talked about. But the one thing that's constant is that third forward. It's constant. It could be interchangeable, okay? You could cycle up the wall, and the high forward could scissor down the wall, but that just means that the new high guy is the guy that came from low. It doesn't matter. He's still an F3. He's still the high guy in my terminology, okay? So in our forecheck, we got to have a high guy that can recover through the middle and track. And in the offensive zone, we got to have a high guy that can cut the middle off and then take off and track the puck carrier. So specifically, it's F3, okay? High forward. Be very clear as a coach. What is that to you? Okay, make sure that you articulate what is a high forward. What do you mean? Just like what I said, it's not always going to be Johnny. It could be little Jimmy, okay? Jimmy could be low in the corner 1 minute and high in the slot the next because Johnny went down in the corner on a rotation. Jimmy's the new high guy. It's important that they understand. And any group can comprehend that. You got to get that through to them. How aggressive do you want to be as a coach? When you see Pittsburgh, I think you're going to say pretty frickin' aggressive, okay? Pretty frickin' aggressive. Angle and attack early. There was no pause in Pittsburgh. No pause in Pittsburgh whatsoever. The moment they shoulder checked and they knew they had a back checker coming underneath, that high forward just took right off. I would assume most of you played the game. There's a huge difference between having a puck with time and space and having a guy barreling down on your ass. Like, it's like, ugh, you know? And that's what Pittsburgh did to everybody. It was like, ugh. They had somebody in their face all the time, okay? Understanding your routes, position, and responsibility, that comes with coaching. Okay, we'll go through that. And then the last little one is there is an exception to being too aggressive. And the exception, and I've got a couple clips I'll show you, it's when your F3 is too high or the puck is too low. He doesn't have a back checker coming through the middle, so he's got no support. And if he were to jump, now we got 3 guys caught. Okay, so there is some minor little wiggle room, but it really depends on where the puck is, okay? Okay, we're going to run some of these. Katie's going to help me with the pauses. And you're going to see, and I'm going to pause it every time the high guy is in the high slot, okay? So you'll see what I'm talking about. 34, Grunhackle. See? He went flat, but he didn't jump down, and then he's tracking back through the middle, and what happened is we can't see it. We cut it off, but there was a back checker coming through the middle, okay? I just love, like, even there they jump. But again, what we're looking for, high guy, right here. High guy, the moment he starts coming across, this D is going to backpedal and he's going to pull to the dots, okay? He's not going to stay over and take the boards away. Right here, he's going to pull himself to the dots. We got Malkin coming through with a good angle, skates painting. I call it north. They're pointing home. They're coming home. Look at your back checker here, no pause, coming back through the middle. So if Katie plays this a couple more clicks, see, stop. He pulled to the dots. He's tracking across. He's back checking the middle. 5th guy is going to make sure that he works his way back up ice. But what did we just accomplish if we're Pittsburgh? By the blue line, we got the puck off his stick. They no longer have the puck. They are not a threat anymore. So now, not in this clip, we'll get to that. We're going to get that puck. We're going to go D to D. We're going to turn and burn. We're going to go the other way. We're not even going to play defensive zone coverage because we're going to be good in the neutral zone, okay? This is a little bit the soft lock of stop. Can you go back on that, Katie? Little bit the soft lock. I'm talking stopper right there. Again, Peter talked about it, and I love this. I do the same thing. You can burn 2 forwards. I talk about burning 2. We can be 2 guys real aggressive. Depending on what the read is, the 3rd guy can get a little bit tighter to the puck. But what you're going to find is he's going to pull himself back here, which, if you think about it, it's not a bad place to be for offense. And then you're going to find out that it's not a bad place to be for defense either. It's a great place to be. It makes a lot of sense. And you can still punch the puck behind the net, and this guy can drop off and get it per Peter. You can do that, you know? But he's going to swing his way over here in hopes that Tampa gets the puck. And right there, stop. There's your soft lock, okay? And this is what I was talking about, okay? Can we afford to have him jump down on this puck right now? The answer would be no, because we got 2 guys flat-footed. Neither guy's recovering through the middle. So if he's shoulder checking right now, He can't. He's got to lock the middle, okay? Now this would be tracking 201, okay? Tracking 101 is when there's no pause and you're just going to track that guy's ass. That's a piece of cake. Here's a little bit of a decision. Could he get the puck? If he could get the puck, we would want him to go, let's be clear. But if not, then we want him to lock the middle, and these two guys now are going to back pressure under the puck and try to catch him from underneath. We're not giving up on this just yet, okay? So now if we play it out a little bit, we're just going to play her out here. He's going to lock the middle. See, well, look at him, lock the middle, back pressure underneath, D steps up, his puck, we're going to open up, go forward to D, turn and burn and go the other way. Did they get into our end? Do we have to play D zone coverage? The answer is no, okay? This is another one. They get caught. Crosby's on his ass, but okay, right here. He can't come down on this guy right now, so he's going to lock the middle. He's going to shoulder check. He's got one guy laying down. He's got another guy buried at the goal line. So at this point, unless he gives him a little bit of rope, going to have to be patient. See, if he comes right now, his skates are pointed south. We don't want him south. We want him north. So in that case, he's got to be a little more patient, lock the middle, try to catch him from underneath, or at some point give him enough rope that you've got a good angle, and then you can take and track his ass if you want to, okay? All right, transition. This is where it gets really awesome. Be prepared for the reward, okay? Execution. So when I say be prepared, I mean there's coaching in this. Okay, you've coached the first part. High forward, track his ass, get him to punch the puck down the wall, or get him to dump it in. That's the first part of the equation. The next part is, once we've made it and we've gotten them to give it to us, how are we going to turn and burn? That's the next part to this, okay? So you're going to see now the reward. The reward is they got the puck back, okay? So you're really watching 13, okay? Across he comes. That's a great angle. Pressure, gives it away. Here's the reward. Whoa, there's your back checker. See? Tracker, back checker, reward, turn it up, and go the other way. Okay? There it is, right there. Okay, we're trying to identify where's our high guy. Right here. He's tracking. He should be back checking the middle. He's tracking. He should be, Kessel, should be back checking through the middle. We're all on the same page. Okay? Everybody's got to be on the same page. Back check the middle. He's got a great angle. He's a D that pulls to the dot. Partner's got to get underneath him. Okay? Watch the reward. Right here, we got it back. D to D. And there's your reward. Okay? So, takes a little bit of work to make it happen, but that's our job as coaches, to work at it and make it happen. Okay? This is a D8 tracking down, but here again, there's your high guy, tracking his ass. There's your back checker, tracking, back checker, dots. Here's your reward, D to D, turn and burn. Are we spending any time in our end? No. No, because our high forward is disciplined, our high forward is aggressive, our high forward is tracking, our back checker is back checking, our D are just sitting there. Told you, forwards are doing 95% of the work here, if not more. And that's okay. Okay? High guy, good for offense, good for defense, turn it over, track, should be back checking the middle. Again, don't duplicate routes. That's the terminology Sully uses. I never want my players duplicating responsibilities. Don't duplicate the route. So in this case, I think this is Rust. He's got to recover as a back checker through the middle. Our tracker tracks. Our D has gap. Pop to the dot. Get ready to help us transition, whether he's going back on a puck or accepting a puck to make a play. Okay? Next, right there. Watch Kunitz. Watch the way he adjusts his angle with speed. But again, back checker. He can go because he shoulder checks. He knows Hornqvist is coming back through the middle, so there Kunitz goes. And again, it doesn't, look at it. Another click, Katie. See? Boom. Didn't have to spend any time in the defensive zone. I mean, you guys don't even have to work on defensive zone coverage. Just work on this, I'm telling you. Last one. I called Sully on this one. I'm going to tell you why, okay? Hi, guy. Tracking. So I swear, I texted Sully because I wanted to make sure. I wanted to use this. And so I said, should Crosby be duplicating Hornqvist's route? And he says, no, never, ever, 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 ever. I said, okay. So basically what it says is that sometimes the really good ones just have this internal instinct and a high level of hockey sense because obviously, watch what happens if Katie plays this out, okay? He's so damn smart, he knew if he just back-checked the puck, he'd end up getting the puck, you know? But that's not what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to back-check the middle while Hornqvist tracked the puck. Okay, so you guys get that now, right? Like, you get that, okay. Because now, I want to talk quickly, because we are running out of time, but we are going to get in on time. I want to talk about LRAs and transitioning to D-zone coverage. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Because if you think that your guys are going to be able to play the perfect game, it ain't going to happen. If you don't think there will be times where your guys are going to get stuck 3 guys in the corner, think again. It's going to happen, right? I know it happens with me and my guys. You know what I tell my guys there? 3 guys buried deep in the corner, right? And I'm like, guys, I put it up there. I got 3 guys buried on the wall in the offensive zone. They know better. There should be a high guy. There's no high guy. Like, there's not even a guy remotely high. And I'm like, you know something? From here on out, here's what we're going to do. I said, who should get out here? And they all look at me like they're, like I have 2 heads. I said, here's the new rule. Whoever is the smartest guy should get his ass off the wall and get high because we all know that we need a high guy, So it's the smartest guy, but it doesn't matter. Okay, LRA, line rush against. That's what I use for line rush against. LRA to DZZ, okay? Working together, 5 guys and a goalie, okay? Everyone has a responsibility. Everyone, not just the tracker, not just the back checker, not just the last guy. Everybody in these clips now, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Okay? And there's got to be some communication. Forward to D, D to forward, it doesn't matter. And I get it. It's going to be really hard for you to get your little guys to communicate. I have a hard time getting my guys to communicate, but it's important. I got them. I'm going to get them. Whatever. Squeaky little voices. But somebody's got to communicate. Okay? Watch this right here. I personally think he could have got him. In my tracking mode, right? In my system where we want to go, I want this guy to go, but just watch the clip. Right here, sorry. Look it. Do you think he could get him? I think he could get him. Here's the way it works for me on LRAs, okay? My trigger for this guy getting the puck carrier is the blue line, okay? You could make it whatever you want, seriously. You could make it the red line if you wanted to. You could make it the blue line if you want to. Boston, they want their forwards to track all the way down to the hash. The D just play between the dots, and the forwards just track their ass off all night long. And Peter wouldn't admit it, but I had a conversation with him today, and they're going to go to that system. So there, you watch Nashville this year, don't tell Ken. They're going to be tracking down to the hash marks, I'm telling you, okay? But anyway, watch this guy right here. He decides, can't get him. Stop, see? So now we're not in a tracking situation anymore. He pulled off the track. He pulled up from the track. Now we're in an LRA. We're in a line rush against. Now, look what we did. Puck carrier gets turned over to the strong side D. Boom. This guy, done, okay? Strong side support right here. There's your 2-on-2. The beauty of this, if this were me, I would ask him to come right over here and absorb Nielsen, okay? I'd have him absorb 51. So I'd put him right here. And now they got nothing, okay? And then I would take this guy, I'd have him looking behind him for the fourth guy, because everybody today in our game plays with a four-man rush, okay? So I guarantee you, it's not in this clip, but I guarantee you there is a blue shirt coming somewhere, okay? And I want this guy now to get the hell out of the way, just cut your losses, come find the fourth guy, and then make sure that our next guy back doesn't get beat up ice by the fifth guy, which is a piece of cake, because I don't know any team in the NHL that is doing a five-man rush. It hasn't hit our sport just yet, okay? So for me, it's eliminating the three guys, find the fourth guy, and then just transition back to D-zone coverage, okay? That's LRA 101. So again, here we go. Couldn't stop her, couldn't get him right there. There's your tracker. Obviously, he could not get him by the blue line. Wasn't going to happen. So now what we want to do, again, what we want to do here, line rush against LRA, we're just going to shuffle one guy here. D gets this guy with the puck. D gets Silverberg driving through the middle. We want our D to play tandem. We want our D to play together. We don't want a D, a forward, and a D. I tell the forwards, get the hell out of the way. Just get the hell out of the way. Come over here, absorb Cogliano, okay? And then there should be a fourth blue shirt somewhere. And I think if we played a couple clicks, there might be. Look, you see right there, okay? That's a very, very good clip, okay? What do we need here other than a save when you think about it? Okay, we might spend a little time in our end at this point, but the shot's coming from out here. Boom, boom, boom. Fourth guy, and the fifth guy is being absorbed by the fifth guy. They got nothing. We're going to be good in our end. We're all going to be on the same page. We're going to spend a little bit of time, but we're going to get the puck, and then we're going to get out of there, and we're going to go the other way, okay? So again, we're focused in on the red. Okay, obviously, stop it. Not going to get him. At this point, if he wanted to, he could, and if this was Boston, he would. But in Detroit's case, because I've coached against Blash enough to know, okay, at this point, he's not going to get him by the blue line. So look at that clip right there. 1, 2, 1, 2, let him go. Look at him. He's shoulder checking. Look at his head. He's looking for this guy. Okay? So he gets him. He should come to the middle and find the fourth guy. Okay? Got it? It's really not complicated, but I'll tell you, it does take a lot of work. Okay? And now we're going to transition into the D zone. Okay? So this is the next step to track. This is the LRA. And now we're going to transition into D zone coverage, Katie. Right here. Okay. Look at here. There we go. Kadri. He's tracking. Okay. Right there. Stopper. Again, you guys are getting it now, I can tell. 3-on-3. This is my way of teaching. Repetition. 3-on-3. Boom, boom, boom. And we're going to transition back into the D zone now. Okay. There's your shot. Harmless. And stop it right there. Okay, that's the perfect picture for tracking. He made a decision, Kadri did, that he couldn't get him. So now he went into an LRA, and he shut down the 3-on-3, and we had a back checker coming through the middle. That eliminated the fourth guy. There are no five-man rushes, and now it's deep in our end because of a shot, and now we have to go into D-zone coverage, which is a D on the puck. We would prefer to see Kadri slide in there, but off a rush, sometimes the D can be there. I could care less, really, when you think about it. Who cares? Whether this is a D and a D or a D and a forward, it doesn't really matter. But we should have two guys in on the puck and a third guy somewhere net front. Okay? Slot forward, Van Riemsdyk, strong side, fall into the top of the circles, control the seam. We just transition into our end. Okay? It's a thing of beauty. Okay, another one here. Okay, Silverberg fights through, and right there he says, whoop, Can't get him. He decided he couldn't get him. That's okay, because now this is an LRA. It was a track. Now it's an LRA. Look at how easy this is. Look at this. Boom. Look at him communicating. Look at him with his hand. That's communication. Doesn't have to be verbal. He's telling Silverberg right here, get the outside guy. That's communication, okay? And right here, what I don't like, Cogliano should be sliding over and taking this guy, okay? Because if we play it a couple clicks, he's open, he's available. But we get him to chip it in, and now we're going to take our chances on our D zone, okay? So a couple more clicks, Katie. Just play it out. Right there. Okay. So Silverberg was the first forward back. Generally, he should be low. That's fine. Okay? And you've got to get to... I played for Tommy Webster. He didn't care. And I'm the same way. The low forward is low. It doesn't matter who you are. We line up as a left wing, a center, and a right wing. That's it for me. I think our game is going to... You're a forward. Okay? You're just a forward. Once the puck is dropped, play. If you end up on the right side and you're a left shot, who cares? We're developing skill. And if you're skilled and you're a left shot that ends up on the right side on a breakout, who cares? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And if you're a center, you're the smart one, and you're the last one in, and the left wing is open, then you got to go play left wing. I really think that's the way I like to coach. That's the way I think our game is going, and that's where we want you guys to take us. Seriously. Okay? So from my end... We touched on the track. The back check is important. The Ds play the dot. We went to the LRAs, which is a piece of cake, really. And then we went into transition D zone coverage. And if you want to learn about defensive zone coverage, you're going to Google Jack Capuano, 2014 Coaching Symposium. He's going to pull it up, and he's going to talk about a box and one, which I love, and I think it would be perfect for a lot of you guys. So, gals. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thanks to USA Hockey. I enjoyed it. Good luck to all of you. All right. Thank you.
All right, Kurt, we got a couple of questions here real quick. Okay. Well, I'll start with this one. So who goes to Crosby and say, we don't want you doing it that way, but we're okay with it?
That's one of those you'd bring him in and say, hey, Sid, I know this worked out, but, what we're trying to do, and you're the guy wearing the C, I think we want you to back check the middle there. But that's a true story. Sully, he says, we laughed about it because good players just seem to find the puck,
How do you practice this without access to the neutral zone? Most of us only have half-ice practices.
I wish I'd had that question. How do you practice this without access through? Well, tracking you can for sure. Okay, and I put some drills in your book. Okay, they're simple, and then there's some a little more complicated, but you can design those to smaller areas. The LRAs, you absolutely can. You would probably start at the red line, and you would have pucks in the middle, and you could stage your tracker or your LRA however you want. If you wanted it to be an LRA, put your F3 over here and throw the puck to your left and just have him get the outside guy. So again, it can be done. You're going to have to wrap your minds around it because that's what coaches do. And quickly, I used to do a lot for my kids. I would get asked to coach for my kids. And after dinner, I would sit down and I'd be working away and my wife would be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm writing practice. I'm running practice tonight. This is awesome. And she's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. So I would sit down and I would write my practice. And last thing, Mark, I've shared something with Mark. I hope he uses it. I hope USA Hockey uses it. But again, get ready to write this down because this is a Kurtism and you're going to like this and you need to honor this in practice, okay? If we're going to develop skilled players and if you want your players to have fun, if they're moving, they're improving. How's that? And somebody said, we have a lot of good game coaches. We don't have a lot of good practice coaches. I get it. You're all busy. This is what I do. This is my life. I'm very lucky. I get it. You got jobs, most of you, okay? But you still have to honor the commitment that you make. You should never walk into a practice unprepared. Whether you got to do it the night before and it's 1 o'clock, you do it the night before because you owe it to your kids. And if you want skill to develop, then you got to develop the skill. Sorry.
All right, this one's pretty good. Will you change the depth of the tracking depending on the game situation? A multi-goal lead, down a goal, that type of scenario?
Depends on how comfortable and confident you are with what you do. Some coaches don't change a thing. I would say if you paid attention to what we're talking about, why would you? Like, why would you? I certainly wouldn't. I would just get really good at processing, like I said, getting your players to process the decisions that they're making, right? But the worst case scenario, here's how you could modify it or make sure. You never want F3 jumping down, okay? If he's not jumping down and his skates are always pointed north, where's the harm? The harm would be don't let him finish a check, okay? And that's something else I should have shared with you, and it is from Sully. When that tracker comes across, if you looked, they were shoulder checking. And if they had a back checker coming with them, they could finish their check. And if they didn't, they wouldn't. And I love that, okay? I love that. I just think we should get the game just all about skating. But is that it?
Those are the only two I've got there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We're out of time. So anyway.
Went down to 0 on the clock. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.